Good morning, everyone. I request all of you to please take a seat so that we can begin the inauguration session. So, on behalf of the organizing committee and the Department of Metallurgical and Materials Engineering, I welcome you all in the inauguration of third International Conference on Advances in Materials and Processes, Challenges and Opportunities. So, at the outset, I would like to request our chief guest, Dr. Dinesh Srivastava, guest of honor, Dr. Debashish Bhattacharjee, our officiating director, Professor Emil Sharma, and our head of the department, Professor B.S. Daniel, to please, and our convener, Professor Abhishek Tiwari, to please light the lamp. So now I request you to please take a seat on the dais. So next, I request all of you to please stand up for the Kulgi.
Jayati Jayati Vidya Sansthan Jayati Jayati Vidya Sansthan English Shingo Sriyaginandit Gangajankari Kalyan Jayati Jayati Vidya Sansthan Jayati Jayati Vidya Sansthan Shiksha Aadarsho mein unnat Jeevan Shilpi Bhurachnar Shiksha Aadarsho mein unnat Jeevan Shilpi Bhurachnar Shravam vina na kimapi sadhyam Yantra kala kaushalya Jayati Jayati Vidya Sansthan Jayati Jayati Vidya Sansthan Jan Jeevan Prasad उठाकर सेतु बांध भूखंड जुड़ाकर जन जीवन प्रसाद उठाकर सेतु बांध भूखंड जुड़ाकर अंतरिक्ष में यान उड़ाकर नवयुग को देता जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान सृजनित जीवन नित अर्पित धरा स्वर्ग शोभा कर निर्मित सृजनित जीवन नित हर पे धरा स्वर्ग शोभा कर निर्मल वैज्ञानिक मुखपट में मुझे भूपर लाता स्वर्ग विराज जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान नई प्रेरणा से दीपित मन नव सपनों से हर्षित लोचन नई प्रेरणा से दीपित मन नव सपनों से हर्षित लोचन नए सत्य की उर्मी धड़कन ये राष्ट्र जीवन कल्याण जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान निम्न ऋषियों से अभिनंदन पंकज करके कल्याण जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान जयति जयति विद्या संस्थान जयति जयति.
Thank you, everyone. Now I request Professor B.S.S. Daniel to please present a memento to our chief guest, Dr. Dinesh Srivastava. Next, I request Professor Sumit Mishra to present a memento to our guest of honor, Dr. Debashish Bhattacharjee. So next, I request Professor Abhishek Tiwari to present a memento to our officiating director, Professor Emil Sharma. So the paintings which have been given as memento, so these have been made by the students of Anushriti, the Academy for the Deaf. It is a social initiative by IIT Roorkee. So AMCO 2022 is the third international conference in the series of AMCO conferences which were organized previously in the years 2012 and 2017. So the third edition of this conference is special for two reasons. Number one, our institute is celebrating 175 years of our existence. Number two, the department is also celebrating the Diamond Jubilee. That is, it has completed 60 years since inception. So the conference will cover three broad themes: advanced material processing, materials for sustainability, and advanced steel technology. In total, we have more than 225 participants. The list of speakers includes delegates from 15 IITs, Indian Institute of Science, government laboratories, as well as industry. Okay, and we have a dedicated poster sessions on 2 days, that is today and tomorrow, and more than 100 posters will be presented. We also have a workshop on the third day, that is the last day of the conference. So there will be like hands-on workshops on transmission electron microscopy, field ion scanning electron microscopy, as well as thermomechanical simulator. The conference proceedings will be published in the journal Springer Nature. Okay, now I request Professor B.S.S. Daniel to please address the audience.
Thank you, Gautam. Professor Emil Sharma, our officiating director and Dean Finance and Planning, Dr. Dinesh Srivastava, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Nuclear Fuel Complex, Dr. Debashish Bhattacharjee, Vice President, Technology and New Materials Business, Tata Steel, Professor Abhishek Tiwari, Professor in Metallurgy Department, and also the convener for AMCO 2022. Distinguished guests from academia and industry, and my colleagues and students who are present here. Warm welcome. This is a conference we've been looking forward to for quite some time. As you have already heard, this is sponsored by the 170th year celebration, and this is one of the events which was picked up. So we wanted to have this last year, but somehow it got drifted because we needed a cushion to prepare for this conference and make it a totally in-person one, which we wanted to have an experience of after a long COVID period. So we have landed into the 60th year of the life of this department. So I here represent the department and welcome you warmly on behalf of my colleagues and the departmental fraternity. So I would invite all of you to have an opportunity to visit the department also. All the labs are open and you can go and explore and see the facilities and also see how you can also maybe try to use them for your research and other activities. The department itself started at 1963. Before that, there was a diploma program. And the 4-year BTech program, BE program at that time was started in 1963, followed by the ME program in 1969 in 2 disciplines, physical metallurgy and extractive. The first PhD was awarded in 1970. And the department has grown. At that time, the sanction strength was 20. And the core areas of metallurgy, that was a period when the nation was also growing in terms of industrial strength, and all our students were getting core jobs, and the Department of Metallurgy was one of the sought-after disciplines. But things have changed over the period of time. We have noticed that, particularly in academia. So we have had to reinvent and repurpose our program, and in a way, India is also catching a second wave, so to speak. After the COVID, we find that India is one of the reliable and stable economies which is recognized the world over. So I believe there is an opportunity for new growth and new developmental opportunities in the area of metallurgy and materials engineering. And this conference we have looked at as something which will be a landmark occasion, bringing so many professionals together so we can deliberate and find how we can contribute, how we can be a part of this new wave, which we expect very soon. So really appreciate all of you for making the time to be here with us. And as you can see, the list of talks which are arranged, we have people who are stalwarts in their fields, and I'm sure we'll have a good interaction. All these sessions will have opportunity to ask questions. So I invite even the research scholars to be confident and ask your question and try to make linkages which will be useful for you in the future. So also our institute has a lot to offer, since we pride ourselves in our hospitality when you come to Roorkee. So if you find anything missing or any discomfort, please don't hesitate to approach any one of us. We'll try to sort it out to the best of our ability. While you are here, I would also invite you to go and visit the museum in the Earth Science Department. They have a rock museum, which will be very educative. So if you tell us in advance, we can even coordinate it so that we can have a guide to help you through that. And also a very attractive archives division with probably the first edition of Shakespeare and several other interesting manuals in the library. So these are at least 2 points I would like you to visit before you go, and of course the department. So with those words, I hand over to Gautam and wishing you a very good AMCO 22.
So next, I request Professor Emil Sharma, the Officiating Director and Dean Finance and Planning, to address the audience.
Good morning. A very, very warm welcome to all the delegates to Roorkee. Dr. Dinesh Srivastava, the chief guest of today's function, guest of honor, Dr. Bhattacharya, my colleague, Professor Daniel, and Dr. Ankur, my colleagues of the dais, students, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to this third edition of international series of this symposium. When we talk of the series of symposium, and 5 years is a good enough time to think what we have done in the past and what we have to do in next 5 years. So it's a good time that we resolve that what has to be done in next 5 years. I especially welcome you during this time when we are celebrating 175 years of our existence. There is a lot of brand Roorkee, brand University of Roorkee, brand IIT Roorkee, and since I am from the very old school, maybe because I joined this institute in 1985 as faculty, and from those days, I know that there is a brand Roorkee, and which is that we are excellent hosts. So I welcome you with this and wish you that you enjoy this conference. And when we talk of the advanced materials or research in advanced technology, because I'm not from this field, but I know of sure that when these paints earlier they were not available to the society, and nowadays you get the paint, and it is only because of a very excellent research in your area. Similarly, now as we are developing, the pace of development is so fast that we need the research in all directions, in all dimensions, and this conference, I'm sure, will give opportunity to all of us, including guests and our students, our faculty, to interact with each other, and we can go for much more interdependent and dependent research work within the groups, outside the groups. You know, nowadays the world is very small, and it is now the need of the hour that we go outside the department and do the collaborations. I'm told by Dr. Dinesh that there are already some collaborations existing with our faculty. He is our own colleague and alumni, and we welcome you especially for this conference. During this 175 years, not only the conferences, we are going ahead with many kinds of endeavors, especially one of the Prime Minister's Advisory Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation. So in that, we are using this 175 figure, and around Roorkee in 175 kilometers, we are going for 3 types of things. One is this Innovative and Technology Council, where the advisory is given by our Prime Minister. that all the industries around Roorkee, our young entrepreneurs, researchers, they will go there, they will look into what is happening. If there are any problems, they can solve those. The second is that within 175 kilometers, we are going for all the academic institutes. They are welcome to visit IIT Roorkee campus, and then a lot of us, we are interacting with them so that the whole academia that is developed around Roorkee. The third one, which is one of the most important for academic institute like IIT Roorkee, we are also approaching the schools. The kids of the schools, 10th class, 11th class, they are invited to the campus, and you never know, some of them will crack JEE Advanced and will be here after some time. So in this 175 years, I especially welcome you. Some of you must have experienced the Thomso last night. The students are very vibrant nowadays, and I think that this kind of dynamism will be continued in this conference also. With this, and also I congratulate you for successful 60 years, you and your colleagues and the department. So with this, I wish all the success to this conference. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So now I would like to briefly introduce our chief guest, Dr. Dinesh Srivastava. So he's a distinguished scientist, chairman and chief executive of the Nuclear Fuel Complex. Before assuming the current position, he has spent more than 3 decades in bar, and he has been honored with several prestigious awards, including the Benani Gold Medal, the National Metallurgist Day Award, to name a few. Apart from that, he's also the distinguished alumnus awardee of our department. So now I request Dr. Dinesh Srivastava to please address the audience.
Professor Sharma. Okay. Professor Bhattacharya, Daniel, Mr. Tiwari, the delegates, students, and ladies and gentlemen. A very warm good morning to all of you. It's always a great occasion for me whenever I get an opportunity to visit this, my alma mater, IIT Roorkee. Of course, we belong to University of Roorkee era. And this is really a pleasure, an honor for me to be part of this conference. And I must thank the organizers, especially Head of Department, Professor Daniel, for giving me this opportunity to be here amongst you. I'm not really expert on this subject area, but yes, I've been associated. And I would like to first congratulate all the people who have been associated with IIT Roorkee for completing this 175 existence of Roorkee, IIT Roorkee now for 175 years. And also the completion of 60th year of Department of Metallurgy, and the detail which was given by Professor Daniel, how this department has grown and evolved. And we feel really very proud to be part of that. Here, as was told that this is third in series, this conference advances in materials and processing, manufacturing and opportunities and challenges. This is the third, and I think I have attended all the three. Probably second one I did not attend. Yes, first and third I'm attending. So it's indeed a very apt topic to discuss. It's a matter of concern for all of us, how to invent new materials and also how to improve the manufacturing process for better performance and better properties. Today, we talked about new materials, and now the concept of new materials in our time was like developing new alloys, new series of alloys. And new material means that new grade of material you are developing by mostly manipulating the chemistry and the electronic structure. But I think today the world has changed. We have exhausted, more or less, we have reached to the limit where we can manipulate that so much. We have to now introduce manufacturing process or manufacturing techniques which can give us the properties by tailoring the microstructure, including now earlier the defect, the word as suggests defect is not a desirable thing. But today, defects and interfaces are playing very important role in giving the properties which are extremely superior, be it mechanical, electrical, optical, all kind of properties, magnetic property is being dictated by how we can tailor these things. And that's where these manufacturing techniques, advanced manufacturing techniques are coming in for, like we are talking about nanoprocessing, various nanotechnologies are coming to achieve this. Here, now we know that all this is becoming more possible because of now availability of better computational tools, better competence in terms of predicting the properties, predicting the performance, which is very key in terms for the sectors like aerospace or my nuclear field, such kind of places. We have to have predictability very accurate, and to do that, we have to utilize the technique, not only the computing techniques. Today, we are seeing that data analytics and artificial intelligence, such kind of thing also is being utilized very extensively, mainly because doing the experiments at the laboratory scale or doing the detailed experiments at the industrial scale, both are very, very expensive, time consuming, and we have to use now such kind of advanced technologies to shorten this time of development of a material with the new properties or even the manufacturing process. So these are the areas where we should introduce some courses at the academic level also, so that we can link conventional these courses along with these modern courses, which will be utilized for development of the process, material, and other things. We know where there are a large number of processes which has got a lot of attraction, and one of them is additive manufacturing, which we now talk in every field. This additive manufacturing are in different forms. There are a variety of process in that, and I myself is very lucky to be one of the earliest person to be associated with that. And I was just telling Professor Bhattacharya in 1998, I was doing postdoctorate at University of Birmingham, and I was working on this additive manufacturing. At that time, probably there were only 2-3 groups in the world who were working for, mainly the aim was to do the repair of turbine blades and titanium alloys, how we can do the, utilize the additive manufacturing using laser to build up those blades. So since then, of course, there has been a lot of progress, a lot of things have happened, but there, all this process requires a very sound knowledge of metallurgical properties which gets generated or gets modified in all these processes, because you are using very high rate of cooling and heating, and also these processes are dynamic, which is not same throughout the the whole structure of the material. So one has to really study all that thing. That's where good knowledge is required, and we have to understand better the principle of evolution of microstructure and other thing as a function of temperature and several whatever associated properties. Today we talk a lot about energy also, and we are one of the lowest consumer of the electricity, and as we all know that consumption of electricity reflects the quality of human life in that country, including health, education, and everything. We are very low in this, almost 1/12 of developed countries, and that we have to augment. And today, even if we are talking about 6 to 7% of GDP, in the next 5 to 6 years, we have to double our electricity generation from 500, almost 500 gigawatt to 1,000 gigawatt. Such kind of addition of energy, we have to have in a way that we don't burden our environment also. Because even now, 70% of electricity is coming through thermal only. That's how we have to harness other renewable energy sources, green energy sources. For example, we all know solar energy is playing very big role in that. But then how this will be useful to us economically, that depends upon how we can develop the materials at cheaper rate, how we can improve the properties of material which can have a longer life, and also we know that storage is important. Solar energy being in not available throughout the time, so you have to have good storage facility. That's where now we are talking about batteries, even for automation also, automobile industry also we are talking about that. So we have to develop the material in such kind of sections, and also we have to have a process to develop these materials which are very, very economical and reproducible in terms of quality. So we have to introduce various things, like today we are talking about using smart sensors, automation, robotics. And so it is really becoming multi-engineering discipline to achieve all this. We are also have to harness, like hydrogen energy. We know that is a big potential. So we have to work on, production and storage of hydrogen energy. So such kind of thing are today we are looking forward to make the development so that we can produce energy which is required for our, for our comfort of life and for all the activity of the life. And this without burdening the environment. This is the most important thing one has to keep in the mind. And also, we see like materials when we talk about, we have to be extracting material more responsible. Almost 90 billion tons of material and metal is being extracted every year from your mother earth. And it's going to be doubled in next 20-25 years. So we cannot have totally, the sources which will not exhaust at a certain time. So we have to see that we use this meaningfully, and that's why one of the topic which is being talked about is how we can reuse these sources material, and so that we do not exhaust whatever the resources which is available and let it last for a longer time for our future generation. So this is one of the area where I think a lot of money is being invested for doing the research, how we can utilize the material more and more, increasing their life cycle, and also reusing them. And also, while producing the materials, the amount of energy we consume, that also we have to look at it. Nearly 30% carbon emission comes from the production of the materials itself. So there's a lot of scope where we can think of materials which does not require huge amount of energy and does not require does not release a lot of carbon emission. So such kind of thing also we have to invest our studies and see that we can produce the material with least amount of energy and better uh, quality as well. Here I was seeing today in the conference, the kind of subjects which are being covered is really very apt, very relevant. We are going to talk about the new materials, various advanced materials and processes, and also about the last theme is on this, as I said, sustainability. And these things are as very, I think this is one of the first physical, in physical mode, I'm seeing a conference where response has been tremendous. A very large number of experts have come, very senior people themselves have come, and they are going to give the talk. It's really a great opportunity, especially for the students, PhD students, to know about the latest and the future in those areas where these senior people are working on and guiding various students. So this is indeed a very good forum, and a large number of experts are here, and I'm sure everybody will benefit out of it. The last section on the research scholars presentation is also a very good idea, because the students will get the opportunity to present their research work and get it reviewed by, like I was told, 15 IIT professors are there, I see, an academic institute. So you will never get such kind of a large experts reviewing your work and guiding you to, do better things. So please make use of that opportunity to improve your, this research area and research output. And I'll be very happy myself to go and see all that. And I'm sure these 3 days will be very stimulating, and all the people will benefit and enrich by attending this conference. And I wish all the best for all the success of this conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dinesh Srivastava, for giving a very nice overview of the challenges and opportunities that exist in our field. Next, I request Professor Abhishek Tiwari, the convener, to address the audience.
Good morning, everyone. Respected guests on the dais, Dr. Dinesh Srivastava, Dr. Devashish Bhattacharya, Professor Abel Srivastava, Professor Daniel, and the colleagues, delegates from industry, academia, and government research labs, students, research scholars, and my faculty colleagues from the department. It is indeed a matter of pleasure and satisfaction that we have been able to organize this gathering, of some of the greatest, some of the great minds who are working in the field of metallurgical and materials engineering. So first of all, I think I'm invited here to give the note of thanks. So first of all, I would like to thank all the delegates and students, research scholars who have come here to participate in the conference. The conference, actually we started planning for it about 7 months back, and the organizing committee, which is consisting of Gautam, Professor Sumit, Professor Saurav, Professor Nikhil, Professor Anish, it would not have been possible without the continuous, hard work and support of all of them. We have been able to plan and design the sessions in a way that they have been because of the support of all these people. And the thanks should also go to the institute, the 175 years celebration committee of the institute, because they actually supported us for this conference. When the idea was initiated, it was supported by the institute. They provided us the financial support. So thank you very much for that also. And all the sponsors who have supported us, financially in organizing this conference. Next, I would like to thank the department colleagues, and especially Professor Daniel, who has been actually continuously involved in the organization of this conference. He has actually he has been instrumental in getting us, some of the guests who have arrived here today, actually. So thank you very much for that. And I would also like to thank the volunteers. They have been actually working continuously since yesterday morning, and actually even before that. I mean, the guests have been arriving overnight also. So thank you very much for your hard work and support which you have provided us. Without you guys, it would have been actually a nightmare, and especially because Thamso was also going on. So it was a lot of hassle of the entry and all those things. So I mean, that was a great support from all of you. I would also like to thank all the research scholars who are going to present their work, and I think it will be a very good opportunity for you to get a good feedback from all the guests who have arrived, even your colleagues. I hope actually these 3 days will result into some brainstorming and come up with the ideas which can actually lead us into the future of metallurgical and materials engineering in our country and abroad. I mean, globally as well. In that, I'm sure that there would have been some inconvenience, some issues because of various things which are going on in the campus. So I would like to apologize for any shortcomings or any inconvenience which you might have faced. I hope you enjoy the next 3 days, and you return from here with some good ideas and collaborations from here. Thank you very much.
Now I request Professor Daniel to take over as the chair for the first plenary session and introduce the speaker, Dr. Debashish Bhattacharjee.
Thank you. Okay, we are very happy to get to the business end of our conference. It is indeed my great pleasure to invite Dr. Debashish Bhattacharjee. I sent an email and he responded. That's how it happened. So thank you very much for coming. He did his BE in Metallurgical Engineering from Jadavpur University, 1986, and Tech from IIT Kanpur, 1989, where he also knew Satya because he worked with Professor Ray, and subsequently PhD from Material Science and Metallurgy, University of Cambridge, 1993. And he joined the Tata Steel R&D, 1996. He was the Chief Research Development and Scientific Services between 2002 and 2009. And then in 2009, he was seconded to Tata Steel Europe as Group Director, Research, Development and Technology. And since then, he has continuously been an expert in the broad area of development of materials and associated technologies for Tata Steel. He has more than 50 international peer-reviewed papers and 20 patents. He is a fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering and of the Indian Institute of Metals. He is a visiting professor at the Imperial College London and University of Warwick, and at the University of Science and Technology, Beijing, China. Of course, he is the Vice President, Technology and New Materials Business, Tata Steel, based out of Calcutta. We welcome you, and over to you, Dr. Bhattacharjee.
ये भी यूएसबी है तो लगा सकते हैं। ये काम करता है और हमने ब्लूटूथ से शेयर किया, कनेक्ट नहीं किया। ठीक है,
No.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Dr. Daniel, and thank you for your kind invitation to this, one of the first physical conferences in material science, at least. So congratulations to you for organizing this. It's also been great to meet old colleagues and friends at this occasion. So let me formally begin by acknowledging the presence of Dr. Dinesh Srivastava, the chief guest of today's of this event, and chairman and CEO of Nuclear Fuel Complex, Dr. Emil Sharma, who is the officiating director of this institute. I'll meet him later on a more pleasant commercial deal that we will sign. Professor Daniel, for your kind invitation, thank you very much. And Professor Abhishek Tiwari, the convener of this event. Thank you for convening this and making all of these people sitting here together. A big hand to you. Congratulations to IIT Roorkee for its 175th year. 175 is a long, long time, and I think it's a mark. It's a statement on the endurance, quality of the institute that survives and will become stronger even at 175. So it's 175 years young. And many, many centuries to be seen going forward. And again, congratulations to the Department of Metallurgy and Material Science for completing Diamond Jubilee, or starting the Diamond Jubilee year this year. So a lot of good things happening. Again, congratulations to you, Dr. Daniel, for leading this this initiative. So today, I was asked about whether I'm going to talk on green steel, whether I'm going to talk on new steel materials. It's obvious because I'm from a steel company, Tata Steel. But I took the title of this conference literally. I'm being the first business speaker, as you said. The business part of the conference starts now. I took the first two words, advanced materials. And I'm going to only talk about advanced materials. There's only one slide on steel, which is the next slide. Right. So this is steel production globally as it stands today by World Steel Association's report. The world makes about 1.8 billion tons of steel. We will not talk about aggregates like cement and stuff. We will talk about real monolithic materials. It is by far the biggest man-made material ever. Right? And many people talk about steel being replaced by materials. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There are reasons why it is not going to happen. There's no material that provides the strength, durability at the price that it is available. And simply because it has a head start amongst use of materials, it was the first amongst the materials after Industrial Revolution. It has an unfair advantage. 1.8 billion tons is a not mean feat. And if you look at other materials in comparison, people say aluminium, people say titanium, and even deposits which we are working on. If you just look at the value that's generated by consumption of these materials, steel is above $1 trillion per annum. Steel entire market. And next is aluminium, which is roughly, I've just not only dropped decimals, I also dropped some digits, just rounded figures. It's about 200 billion. 1.1 trillion, 200 billion. That's the nearest competition, ladies and gentlemen. Next is fiber reinforced polymers, about $1 billion world market, and titanium. You will find similarly magnesium, copper, all around 20, 25, 15 billion dollars. So imagine some material which is at $20 billion trying to replace something as $1 trillion, not going to happen in our lifetime, right? Ours. I mean, it's about, we are old, right? Young students here, you may see some catching up. There's a lot to catch up, right? But it's that things are changing is obvious. Last week I was in IIT Madras giving a very similar talk. It's difficult to design a new talk in 3 days' time. I just added a few slides. This particular slide I talked about, I didn't put it in as a graph. So now I put it as a graph. It's a new set of presentation, right? But I talked about transition that is happening in society in materials. And it's happening even without us noticing. Right? If you look at a car, you would think the car is all steel, except the high-end, except the cars that come out of Jaguar Land Rover, who have a fascination and a fetish for aluminium. Most of the cars and the high-end BMWs and Audis, most cars are steel. Not so. So yesterday I was being driven very kindly by one of the professors here, and my old friend Saurabh Das is here somewhere. There he is. And he has a back camera, front camera, and all that sort of stuff. In spite of that, he bumped, while parking, reverse parking, he bumped into the wall. And there was a crunch. So he was not looking at the back camera, he was looking at the mirror. So much for technology. Right, but there was a crunch, and we all thought, there goes the bumper. And so we came out and we looked, nothing happened to the bumper. Right, and that's because the bumper is not made of steel. Had it been made out of steel, it would have got a dent. It would have been stiff, it would have got a dent, and we would have to take it to the denter and painter on the roadside to get it rectified. But it's plastic. So it just bent and came back. You're using an otherwise useless low stiffness material to get a useful feature out, which is even if it hits some, crashes against something, it will dent and then come back into shape because it's low stiffness, right? The bumpers in most cars today, 90%, the front and back are not steel. They are injection molded plastic. And such has been the advancement in the mold technology, in the paint technology, that the paint that you see on the bonnet of the car is exactly the same in terms of finish and color and as on the plastic bumper. You cannot make out. So such transitions are happening right under our noses, right in front of our eyes. We are not seeing that. So in spite of the $1 trillion to a 200 or $0.2 trillion difference, or even less, $0.1 trillion difference with FRP composites, there are certain areas which probably are high margin areas, high value areas, where transition is happening. And it is this transition which is on one hand a threat to steel. On the other hand, it's an opportunity to be in new materials. And that is why steel, which is 117-year, not 175, but 117-year young steel company, reasonably good in steel. We thought we will not miss this opportunity to put our toehold in new materials and be a leader in taking bold steps in new materials for the next decade, next centuries going forward. So I will talk a lot about what our thinking has been in new materials, and hopefully our experience will be useful to you and will generate, as Abhishek said in his Professor Tiwari, said in his introductory thanksgiving talk. He thanked me before even I had delivered my lecture. So much for business. but thanks for the thanks. I will deliver do my duty. But yes, you did mention. Did I move something that should not be moved? I think the camera has moved. No? Okay. I'm waving my hands a bit too much. Right. So, I was saying things will change, and these changes will be driven by megatrends that are happening in people's lives, megatrends that are happening in society. The people who are working on steel, we know that lightweighting has driven development of steel for the last 30 years. Lightweighting because you want to reduce fuel consumption. This is a continuous trend in the world. Today, fuel is changing from petroleum to battery, but the impetus on lightweighting remains because you need to carry a battery. Till battery technology improves, you're going to carry that weight, right? And therefore, the only thing that you can reduce is the weight of steel. The other materials are light anyway, so they don't talk about it. You reduce the weight of steel. So lightweighting is always an imperative, and that's a mega trend that will keep on continuing. And therefore, the search for high-strength lightweight steels will be on, and beyond, there will be search and use of lightweight materials. And therefore, the bumpers today are not steel. The bumpers are plastic. It's one solution towards lightweighting. The trains that you see today coming out, the Vande Bharat Express, that is in the news for, I think, a little wrong reason for hitting a cow on the track. So it should be really in the news for the right reason, which is it maximizes for today's technology, maximizes the use of lightweight materials in the traditional Indian train, traditional Indian track. This is a Vande Bharat Express train here. That you can see, its nose cone is entirely FRP. The entire interior panels, doors, seats are predominantly FRP. The steel outside, the carriage outside is still steel. There is a competition by aluminium to make it lightweight, as you know, right? So lightweight is a mega trend. So is environment and sustainability. Nobody likes CO2. And we from the steel industry do that very well. Everywhere we go, we are expected to talk about CO2. That's the first expectation, or how to reduce CO2. And that's true for all, for aviation, for mobility, for minimizing use of materials, for recycling. There's always environment and sustainability at the top of the agenda, and that's not going to go away. It's the people's consciousness, people's awareness on the environment that pushes politicians to drive regulations, and these regulations drive industry to bring in new technologies, new measures to be more sustainable and be more green. And this is going to continue, and we will talk a bit about how new materials can help in environment. I'm not going to talk about steel, as I said, I promise. There are many such megatrends that will determine the use of new and advanced materials and keep on growing these materials consumption in the world. One of them is health. Health is a continuous non-cycling sector. The only time it cycles is when there is a pandemic and it goes up, but then it still comes down and starts going up at a particular rate. Unlike other materials such as steel or aluminium or copper, they cycle with ups and downs in the world market, with geopolitics or whatever. Health, education, they don't cycle; they go up. Today, our longevity is growing. I was mentioning in IIT Madras that around the Second World War, the average life expectancy in UK, which was where UK where during Second World War itself, sun never set in their empire, life expectancy was around 45 years. But then came medication, advances in medicine, advances in surgery, abundant availability of antibiotics, and so on and so forth. Life expectancy in European countries has gone to close to 80 years. Life expectancy in India, which was around 27, 30 years around the Second World War, is now 67-ish years. USA would follow the West, but very surprisingly, in this week's Economist, it reports that for the first time, US life expectancy has come down by several percentage points. There's something going wrong with their health sector, reaching out help to the people. But anyway, health sector will go up. Life expectancy goes up, which means more of us old people. I should have been dead by now if I were in Second World War, right? Yeah, but here I am doing business. But as life expectancy goes up, there are more old people. And more old people means more defective knees, more dental implants. So the need for medical materials and devices goes up. Need for medication goes up. Also goes up is the ability of people to pay for these. So there's more demand. So this is a sector where, which actually is nascent. It is still trying to grow. I'll talk about it a little later, just to give you a trailer on this. The Indian market, which is one of the smallest markets in the world in medical materials and devices, is about 65,000 crores per annum. And it's growing at double digits. It's growing about 15 to 16% per annum. And it's minor compared to what's in the world. So these are megatrends which drive utilization of materials. And we chose some of these sectors and some of the materials which go into these sectors as materials in which we would do business. We would understand these materials and they will create market in India and create solutions for people to benefit from. So let's talk about composites. Composites, I'm talking about not metallic, I'm talking about polymer matrix composites. Could be glass fiber, could be carbon fiber reinforced, could be aramid fiber reinforced, basalt, or even natural fiber reinforced. I don't know if basalt fiber is not called natural fiber reinforced, it's rock, right? So, but anyway, natural fiber reinforced is usually jute or coconut fiber reinforced. But the important thing here is these are lightweight, so addresses one megatrend. These are superior strength to weight ratio. So for the same strength level needed, you need less in terms of weight of the material. So there's a sustainability issue. They are corrosion resistant, which means they last longer, less maintenance needed. Again, has a sustainability issue. They're flexible in design, in formability. We from steel and aluminum, we know, or any metal, how difficult it is to form a metal. You need heavy presses, you are limited by the formability and the texture. Satyam is here, he knows all about texture, how difficult it is to impart texture, and then get to formability. No such thing needed in FRP composite materials. Because when you're forming this material, it is soft. So you can put it in any shape, concave, convex, together, no problem at all. And you can solidify in the die, you can solidify outside the die. Right? So the bumper shape, forming a bumper steel is difficult. It has a deep draw, it has got a curvature and all that. Forming a bumper with plastic is dead easy. Yeah, it's injection molded. So all these factors give huge advantage to composite materials and being used as structural material in real life. The only problem today is the cost. But of course, as you know, with use, cost comes down. Global market today in composites is about, as I said, $195 billion to $100 billion. India is tiny. I mean, mind you, India is tiny in steel also. India makes about 100 million tons of steel compared to 1.8 billion tons of steel in the world. So although India is second in the world, it is still small in terms of percentage. But, I mean, almost all materials that is the case. So it's not surprising that in composites, India is 1%, 2%, 1 to 2% of the world's production and usage of composites. In the West, the biggest users of composites are Europe, America, and Japan, Korea. On the two sides, they use it in high-end applications in aerospace and wind, in auto. India, not so. I mean, they're small, and again, you see the same picture throughout in all materials, in steel, aluminum. The usage is in more commodity sectors of industry, infra, and today railways is picking up. Automotive uses composites around the world, not in India yet. So there is an evolving nature of this materials used in India. And let me describe this evolving nature. The nature of today's producers of composites is that they are mostly MSME, medium and small sector. Except for one producer, which is over 1,000 crores, the rest are all 500 crores and below. There are a whole series of producers making very specific objects out of composites. They're not big, therefore they don't invest, they cannot invest in R&D, so the technology is stuck. Where the rest of the world grows up in technology and applications and composites, Indian composite industry being fragmented and small, technology development is stuck. And we will remain stuck unless a large company with deep pockets comes in and invests in this material and in these materials. Needless to say, therefore we are there. Right? So this is one of the areas where we experimented. We designed material R&D and experimented with composite. So this is a bridge. Needless to say, it looks like wood. And I mentioned about easy form factor of composite. So this was a bridge that it's in a golf course where golf carts go up and down every morning. The demand was to make it look like the rest of the environment. So they didn't want a steel bridge. They wanted a bridge which goes with the trees and all that. So we said, we'll provide you a bridge that will last as long as this golf course lasts. It will be strong as steel. You will not need to paint it. It will look like it's come from trees. It will look like wood. So all that is, I think, satisfied here, right? This is an FRP bridge, which is used every day. So today, FRP is used in light poles and pipes. We are making pipes which are 2.2 meter diameter for high pressure water that's coming out of the flue gas desulfurization units of Tata Power's power plants. Bridges I've mentioned, making street furniture around cities, especially starting with Jamshedpur. And given its corrosion resistance, we are making large chemical tanks for the chemical industry, which is also growing, and it's a huge demand. Right. So we in the infrastructure and industry space, wherever there is need for corrosion resistance, this is the material of choice. So the bridge technology makes us also give walkway solutions to our coke ovens, for example. As you would know, coke ovens, once you finish painting, you start painting again from the beginning. Our Haldia plant, we experimented with this, and now we're converting all steel walkways to FRP walkways. And of course, Vande Bharat. Railways is transforming itself. As you would know, who are working closely with railways, they have a dream of having only 2 speeds on the main tracks, 160 kilometers per hour, which could be this train, and 320 kilometers per hour, where the train doesn't exist till the lines have been put up. This is the high-speed trains. Most of the material being used, which are non-structural in nature, will be FRP or some sort of composite. Could be aluminum, honeycomb, cord, FRP sandwich panels because of stiffness. But this cone, for example, is entirely FRP. Internal solutions, all the panels, the window frames, seating, toilets which are modular in nature are all FRP. Right? So, and we manufacture all of them. This solution here, these seats, we have just given for the second set of 3 rakes of Vande Bharat to ICF. And we'll be giving for the next 23 rakes. So all this transformation is happening. This is new materials being used in public for daily life use, right? Let me move on. I've spent a long time on the introduction and covering composites. Graphene. Graphene is a young material, really. As you all know, Nobel Prize was in 2010. It was, I think, first peeled off the sheet of paper on the pencil mark. I think it was 2004. So it's about 20 years old, less than 20 years old. And as we know, a lot of money has been poured into graphene. There are a lot of graphene initiatives around the world, especially the UK. But everyone's question is, when will we see some commercial use of this material? We put up a plan. We have our own technology for graphene. We have been working on graphene since 2012 as a part of our nanotechnology initiative. We have about 50 patents and our own production technology and our application technology. We put up a plant of 100 tons per annum capacity in Jamshedpur, which makes us about one of the top 10 in the world. And if we look around the world, not only graphene, any nanomaterial, and I was talking the breakfast just before here, any nanomaterial, if you want to do business in, you cannot do business by just selling the nanomaterial. It's too tiny, too small, and you need like namak in a curry, right? That doesn't make business unless you make lots of curry, right? So then that's not the case. So we decided that we'll make, and most of the world has decided that to go that way, is to make business through the added value that graphene brings in a component. So we will be at the component part of the business, or at least at the master batch that you make, the concoction you make out of graphene to go into that component, right? And some of the components that worldwide people are getting graphene into are plastics and polymers, in films and coatings, in elastomers, in energy storage, in textiles, etc. This is the plant in Jamshedpur, which is of 100 tons per annum capacity. We're not making 100 tons per annum today. We are nowhere close. But I'll talk to you about the numbers. Nobody makes, even the top 10 that you saw in the list, they all have the capacity, don't actually make that much graphene. So we started by looking at dispersions in paints, in thermoplastics, such as in HDPE, in pipes, in elastomers such as rubber tires or conveyor belts, etc. And now we're continuing to look at graphene effect in our application in fibers and in battery materials. So these are some examples, dispersions and thermoplastics and elastomers. So dispersions, right? This is paints. So we can use graphene as a corrosion-resistant paint on steel structures. So steel structures that are at that are close to the sea get corroded very fast. And plants that are close to the sea, those who have plants close to the sea would know that once you start putting corrosion-resistant paint, by the time you're finished, you start again. It's a huge maintenance cost. So we developed a graphene-based corrosion-resistant paint. Addition strength went up, salt spray hours went up, which means definitely gives about 30% more corrosion resistance. And the drying time came down, so you actually can put that part of the structure in operation 25% faster. So all in all, very good news. And we are now testing these paints at our plants. So having a steel plant is very good because you can use it as your own experiment base. Right, so and a large experiment base, and this actually works. This is the results that you see here are from the field. In thermoplastics, which is in plastic pipes, in HDPE pipes, which are flooding the market and replacing steel pipes. If you add graphene, and of course, this is all around 1 to 2% graphene. but if you formulate the graphene appropriately, mechanical properties go up. The elongation goes up, modulus of elasticity goes up, this pressure bearing capability goes up. What actually also happens is because these properties have gone up, you can actually recycle these pipes. So what happens on recycling a normal HDPE pipe is its properties go down. You cannot use it for the same purpose. But now with graphene, since the properties are already up, with the first recycling, it comes down, but it's still above the specification. So you can actually recycle a graphene-based HDPE pipe 4 times before it hits the specified limit. So in a way, graphene adds to the sustainability of plastic pipes. We've added graphene to elastomers. We are lining dumper trucks with elastomers. It protects the steel. It increases the life of the rubber lining, and therefore availability of dumper trucks goes up. It's already implemented in our mines. You can see the effect of graphene in retreaded tires. I don't even need to point out at it. You can see the difference. We are not trying it out with a tier 1 supplier to Tata Motors for retreaded tires. Conveyor belt life goes up almost 2 times, and we're using graphene conveyor belts, starting to use in our steel plant, and of course the idler rollers that are below, which also wear out, their life goes up if you use graphene. So today, because of graphene-based conveyance pipes and composite pipes, the pipe solution from Tata Steel's basket has exploded. We have steel pipes for small diameter use. We have ductile iron pipes for 1 meter, 1.6 meter use. We have composite pipes or polymer composite pipes for 2.2 meter diameter use. And we have HDPE pipes which have graphene in it for replacing any of these pipes. Right? So, so that was a bit of a glimpse on our graphene business. And just to say that nanomaterials do make money. If you follow the strategy that you will not sell the nanomaterial, you'll sell the value that you get in the properties from the nanomaterials. So last month, which is 3 years after we had started business in graphene, last month we made 75 crores in the graphene business with profit, just in 1 month. And it's growing, it's doubled in 6 months. And the next 6 months is again doubling. And that's simply because you're adding value to a sector which is large. HDPE pipes is roughly 50,000 crore market in India, could be more. And you're taking, even if you take a part of it, it's 4,000, 5,000 crore business. So you're limited by production capacity. So these are ideas I want to keep with you, and there are more. Don't go away. So these are ideas I want to keep with you so that when you work on new materials, think them as solutions that you will bring to public life. Think of them as solutions that you'll bring to address megatrends. Because once you address a megatrend, it's very likely that the material will be taken up because it's useful, inherently useful to society. So let me talk about medical materials. And I already mentioned, I'll skip this slide, I'll just mention that medical materials is large. It is about 65,000 crores in India and is growing at double digit. India imports 75% of that 65,000 crores. The only thing that India makes locally are things like bandages, just straight bandages, or needles and scissors, etc. Anything that's complicated, anything that's basic material, medical material, it imports. So one of these medical materials which is used by orthopedics for a whole lot of bone applications. Could be bone replacement, could be injectable, could be a coating on an implant, is hydroxyapatite. People have worked on hydroxyapatite for decades. It's not really a new material. It's a new material in India to be manufactured in India. CGCRI, which is Central Glass and Ceramic Research Institute, has been working at least for 20 years. It's not commercialized. And now that we've been working on it, we know why it is not commercialized. The amount of purity this needs process technology to be modified. And thanks to ISC Bangalore, we have a partner which has a technology, and thanks to a startup company with two youngsters from IIT Kharagpur who know the technology and who know how to work with advanced ceramics, that we have been able to commercialize hydroxyapatite international quality levels. So today we have our head of medical businesses here somewhere. He's sitting on the back. So we are producing hydroxyapatite in glass vessels with glass liners, and we are coating hydroxyapatite using plasma spray coaters on implants here. And this is the coated implant. What happens is the implant is usually titanium alloy or stainless steel, but if you coat it with hydroxyapatite, the bone thinks that material is bone. So the assimilation is faster. So the curing time is less, and the patient recovers faster. So all in all, advantages for everyone. And this is, of course, a part of the hip implant thing. So I'm just going to show you this one. I think, yeah, this one. So this is how the spray happens. It's not, the video is not very well taken, but just hold on for a bit. I think the person who was holding the video was actually looking at the stuff physically, realizing that is, yeah. But you get the drift. There's a spray gun, plasma spray gun, and the implant rotates. And you can see the implant, which was looking dark, is now looking brighter, whiter, and that's how the coating happens. It's hydroxide. It's an advanced ceramic that is getting coated on titanium alloy hip implant. We are working. That's bone replacement. We are working on flesh replacement as a material for flesh replacement, which is collagen. By the way, hydroxyapatite we talked about earlier, that's at a 95% plus purity, even 99% plus purity, which matches with the best in the world. Nobody in India makes it. Collagen, which is really a protein, usually comes from cow bones and pig bones, not very user-friendly in India. But the solution we have, again, from IIT Kharagpur, is from fish scales. And this we are at the moment trying to scale up to commercial levels. Because it's a material which the body thinks it's its own again, so it gets assimilated by the body. So imagine a deep burn victim. In deep burns, you can't bandage on the patient, because when the skin grows, it goes into the bandage, and you try to take the bandage off, it again peels off the skin. You can put medication in collagen and wrap it around the patient. The body will assimilate the collagen. Collagen will protect from the external environment and will carry the medicine. But this collagen needs to be again 99% plus pure, not made in India. Not made in India, therefore we are at the mercy of the price settings of the international players. And 1 kilogram of this quality collagen is 22 crore rupees. You can imagine the affordability in a country like India. So you can imagine what the affordability, it's not affordable. Therefore, we need, this whole area needs a large company with R&D to come in and play with the large international multinationals in the Indian market. So we are working on collagen. Its utilization is in wound healing. Also, we will see there are a lot of mass use. Facial creams that you use for wrinkle-free has collagen. Long-distance runners who practice for marathon, they take protein drinks. That has collagen, right? So collagen has more and more use. The byproduct of collagen making is gelatin, which has an even more use, because every capsule that you see, the hard covering of the capsule is gelatin. Even ice creams have gelatin. Right? So fish scales to very, very useful medical material and a large use medical material that be beneficial for the country is what we are going to play in the next few months. This is what we're doing as business today. And in medical materials, we are also going to be into devices which are like lab on chip. And one of these technologies we are going to have a partnership deal with IIT Roorkee. We will sign it just after my talk. So the faster I finish, the faster I get to sign it. Right. So I'll have two more business slides only. So carbon fiber is a strategic material for the country. We have been trying to make and will accelerate the making of fighter planes, right? Even the light combat aircraft. We want Boeings and the Bell helicopters to come into India and we start manufacturing. We have started manufacturing. All of these need carbon fiber. It's also needed in defense. It's needed in its different form. It's needed in construction, which we can't put. India does not make an ounce of carbon fiber. There is a pilot plant in Bangalore in NAL. That's the pilot plant. You cannot produce commercially viable carbon fiber from the carbon plant, from that pilot plant. Usually, carbon fiber is made from polyacrylonitrile, which is a petroleum product. We are not big in petroleum. So we are looking at an alternate source, which we are big in, and it's a byproduct of the steel industry. It's a byproduct of coke making. It's the coal tar, and the coal tar pitch, which has mesophase, and we can use that to make various forms of carbon, including carbon fiber. So we are taking this forward, and we are at a demo scale where we're making carbon fiber from coal tar pitch. We will not be the first in the world to make it, by the way. Nippon Steel already has the technology, and Mitsubishi has the technology. They're not going to share it. Nobody shares carbon fiber technology. So we have to do it ourselves. And this is a raw material that we have indigenously available, and we will do it ourselves. There's application, and at the first instance, it need not be aerospace application. It could be construction application, it could be industrial applications. And of course, with the help of academia and research labs, we can grow faster and into this domain and develop carbon fiber from coal tar pitch for high-end applications. Battery materials. India imports roughly 19 lakh crores rupees worth of petroleum every year. That's how much goes out of the country. Petroleum is by far the single biggest energy material that we use. Look at the vehicles around you. When tomorrow we use electric vehicles, we have already started using electric vehicles, and it's a one-way path. We will be using battery materials like lithium, cobalt, nickel, electrolytic grade manganese, etc. None of them do we make in India. So we will be replacing one energy material, petroleum, with a whole set of imported energy materials, lithium, cobalt, nickel, etc. Now, we have deposits around India which have small amounts of these materials, all which can be modified, which can be treated to give these high-end battery materials. The cover, the soil cover, it's called the overburden of most of the chromite mines that you get in Orissa contain amounts of nickel and cobalt. So far, it has been economically not viable to extract that cobalt and nickel from the overburden of chromite mines. But today, with electric vehicle batteries growing in demand, and with the nation's need to have indigenous sources, that becomes viable. Similarly, what is viable is to treat low-grade manganese ore to produce wood materials, such as gamma manganese oxide or manganese sulfate at the highest purity. We are now working with SECRI, Central Electrochemical Research Institute, and some other institutes to upscale the technology of gamma manganese oxide and manganese sulfate and its use in batteries. And we're actually developing cells in our Jamshedpur labs using the material that we have, the battery material we have developed from low-grade manganese ores. And I had referred to coal tar pitch for carbon fiber. The same coal tar pitch can be used to develop anode materials such as hard carbon, soft carbon, and needle coke, which is not only in batteries but also in electrodes for multiple applications of. All needle coke today, by the way, comes from China. Even they take our coal tar pitch and convert it to needle coke, and we get it back. It's a bit like titanium. People take titanium oxide out of the country and sell us value-added titanium alloys. So we have the technology now, and we will upscale it to produce these anode and cathode materials from steel plant waste and from low-grade ores that are available in India. And I think all of these are new technologies which no single entity can develop itself. No single entity, by that I mean no single industry like Tata Steel, no single academic institute like IIT Roorkee, or no single CSIR lab like SECRI can do it by itself. It needs collaboration. So we work in collaboration and then look for deep collaboration with all the academic institutes and the CSIR labs to create an ecosystem in India where we are able to take forward our technologies and build self-reliance and leadership in the world in materials and the new materials and their applications. And the field is open. Follow the mega trends, and I think we will be leaders in the world. So with that, I thank you for inviting me. Thank you for bearing with me and listening throughout my talk. And I hope it will be of some use to you going forward. Thank you for the invitation. I'm open to questions if there are any.
Yeah, so we have a few questions we can invite at this time to look up for that.
This is Azam. Unfortunately, a graduate of Veterinary Department of IIT itself, and now I'm heading ties here with business review. My question is related to the startup, because you use the term startup, you are engaging with startups from IIT PGP. Do you have in place a program to support startups in as far as collaboration or working together?
Absolutely.
And in what way do you engage with the startup? Because we're engaging in the development of some material, and you yourself, Tata Steel is quite well with in-house. How will you engage with this?
So we have a whole vertical called Innoventure as opposed to venture out. So whose role